Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be fun because I'm going to show you my complete tarot collection. Now, I have tried to film this in the past. It was a very long video, but I feel really happy with my tarot collection. My oracle collection is a whole nother story. It's bigger than my tarot collection, and there's a lot of decks that I'm still trying to figure out if I want to keep them or not. My tarot decks have been a lot more thoughtful purchases, and I feel like I've curated my collection to things that I really enjoy. Now there are some in this collection that I don't use as much, or you know, whatever, but I'll definitely mention that as we go through the decks. But yeah, I'm really happy with my tarot collection. I would say 90% of these decks a lot, or use them quite often. And yeah, I'm just going to share that with you. So I have some coffee here, so get a snack, grab some coffee. We're going to be here for a while, and we're going to go through all my magical tarot decks. I was going to try to go through some kind of like order here, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I have this huge towering pile beside me, and I'm just gonna go through it. So the first deck I have here, this is the Gold Foil Tarot. That's what it's called. You can get it on Amazon. And it's kind of like, it's one of those Amazon decks that's a little sketchy. It's a plastic deck, which is really cool. These are the backs. That's what sold me, is these beautiful backs. And so it's really bendy, as you can see, because it's plastic. But what sold me is this beautiful foiling. So it's just the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which I'm a huge fan of, but it's fancy. And I do use this deck. It has kind of a chemically smell to it a little bit, but that's all right. I think it's so pretty, the colors and the sparkliness. So yeah, if you just search Gold Foil Tarot on Amazon, then you'll be able to find this. It is it is kind of slippery when you shuffle it. I mean, it's like super bendy, but these are really cool because you can take them into the bathtub, or you know, they're waterproof, which is really cool. So that is the first one. This is the Gold Foil Tarot. Okay, next up I have the Santa Muerte Tarot. This is published by Los Scarabeo, and this is a really cool deck. It's kind of fashioned around the Day of the Dead. Those are the backs. I think it's gorgeous. It's very potent. It feels like a summery deck for me, even though I bought it around Halloween time. And I love this deck. I just feel like we need to have a full deep dive. I need to do a full deep dive on this deck because it's powerful, and I think I've shied away from it because of that, but it's beautiful. By the way, this is by Fabio Lestrani, and you can get it on Amazon. It's mass market. There's just so much to unpack in these cards, and they can be creepy if you're not comfortable with skeletons and things like that. This is one of my favorite Hierophant cards to ever exist with the Ouija board. Gorgeous. So, Santa Muerte. It does come with a guidebook. The guidebook's it's alright. It's pretty good. It's small, but you get good information from it. Okay, next up I have the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. This is published by Los Scarabeo again. This is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck with, from what I've heard it's called the Dirty Pam. That's kind of what this is fashioned after with the coloring. This deck is what made me fall in love with Rider-Waite decks with the coloring. I wasn't really attracted to Pixie's artwork in a deck that I received, which I'm not showing you that one. I guess I could, but it's in my drawer. But I have the original Rider-Waite that comes in the yellow box. And the one that I got is just garish. I don't like the coloring, but I love how this is borderless. And I love the coloring. The thing about this is that it has very thick cardstock, and so you can't really riffle shuffle this. But it's very sturdy. But yeah, that's like impossible to riffle shuffle, but you can side shuffle it just fine if that's how you like to shuffle. But I really think the coloring on this is beautiful. So that is the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. Alright, next up I have this deck. This is the White Numan, a Sacred Animal Tarot. This is published by Liminal 11. It's created by Alba BG. And this is one that I admit I don't use very often. I was very attracted to the artwork. These are the backs. They were not reversible because they have two different animals there, but this is a beautiful, beautiful deck. I haven't played around with it too much. I love the colors of the suits. So like the wands are very fiery and red. The swords are more like a blue. Pentacles are green. There's a cup card. It's very beautiful. It doesn't follow Rider-Waite closely, but it does, the meanings do kind of stay the same, but the artwork's different. But yeah, these figures, the way that the people are illustrated was very attractive to me. And I really liked how they were depicted, but again, this is one I haven't really used much. The cardstock is kind of hard to shuffle on these. It's very thick. So yeah, that is the White Numan Tarot. Alright, my other deck I have by Liminal 11 is the Modern Witch. This is one of my only modern tarot decks that I have, but I think it's so well done. The artwork is stunning. I will suggest this for a beginner time and time again. The issue with this deck that keeps me from using it, because I am attracted to using this deck for clients quite often. I'm called to use it, but the cardstock stops me. And I was thinking of possibly taking pictures of these and submitting it to like make playing cards so that I can have a copy with cardstock, but there is a German version which you can get on Amazon. It has the titles in German, so you'd have to trim them off if that bothers you, and I'm very seriously thinking about that because this imagery is very Rider-Waite, like pretty much a Rider-Waite clone, and so trimming the borders off would, you know, it'd be easy to read. But I love it. It's just the cardstock is so thick. It's horrible to shuffle if you want to riffle shuffle, and I personally feel when I'm doing a reading for somebody else, I want a good riffle shuffle. I just feel like it doesn't get shuffled well enough if it's not riffle shuffled. So that's just me. But I think that the imagery is gorgeous. This is very female centric. There's no males in this deck. That's how thick it is. I mean, it's impossible. Ow, my hands. Like, you can do that, but it's just, it's not fun. And the tactile experience of it, it just, ugh. So I think I'm gonna buy the German version of this, see how it does, because I think the imagery is gorgeous, and I think it's really, really a good choice for a beginner to help them learn the card techniques. So that is the Modern Witch Tarot, published by Liminal 11 by Lisa Sturl. Okay, next up I have the Essential Tarot, which is by Chloe Zarka Grinsner, and this is published by Sterling Ethos. This was an impulse purchase that I bought at Barnes & Noble, but I've been following this deck since it first came out. I was watching it because I really wanted it, and then I saw some kind of not so good reviews on it, and I don't know, I was a little torn, but I do really enjoy this deck. These are the backs with the beautiful sun and moon, and I edged the sides of mine in black, and these are the cards. This is one of two, I think, pip decks I have. But it's pips with feelings. I don't like pip decks normally, but this one, it's very easy to tell what the card is. And I just think it's gorgeous. I really like the art style. Again, cardstock's not the best. It's kind of like cardboardy and thick again. I love this Ace of Pentacles. It's so pretty. This High Priestess, I mean, come on. Ten of Wands with the snake there. So I really, really enjoy this deck, the artwork. But again, this cardstock's not my favorite. It's very thick, as you can see. And it has this really cardboardy feel to it. Yeah, just no. But very beautiful if you can get past the cardstock, or if you're a side shuffler, it shuffles fine. So that is the Essential Tarot by Chloe Zarka Grissner. And the ones I've shown, every deck I've shown so far is mass market. If it is indie, I will mention that. Next up, we have the Golden Tarot. This is published by US Games, and it is made by Cat Black. This is a beautiful deck. This is a collage deck, but it's done with like old art. But she hasn't just used like old paintings. She's taken parts of all these different images and made them very reminiscent of Rider-Waite cards. These are the backs. It's gilded in gold. And these are the cards. This is a beautiful deck. I don't find that it plays well with others when I'm reading for others. So this is one that I've only used mainly for myself, but look how gorgeous that is. If you like this really old world kind of art, I think this is gorgeous. I was trying to choose between this deck and the Touchstone Tarot, which are both by Cat Black, and a lot of people said this was the preferred one, so that's the one I went for. But let me know if you guys have the Touchstone, if you like that one better. How beautiful. This is not one I get out a lot, but every time I do, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I need to use it more. She's so pretty. But again, the cards, trust me guys, we'll get to some cards that I like the cardstock on. These are just, this one's not as bad. It's not as bad as the others. That is the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. The little book, it's not even little, it's kind of really thick. Oh, I'm throwing it. This really thick little white book is really good. I really enjoy this. When I first got the deck, I had kind of a weird, I didn't know if I was gonna like it, and then I read the book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. So again, the Golden Tarot by Kat Black. Okay, next up I have the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. This is published by US Games, Mass Market. This is a very popular deck, and I understand why. It is gorgeous. I just want to shuffle it. These are the beautiful backs, some of the most beautiful card backs ever. And these are the cards. I feel like they're a little bit larger than a standard tarot card, and they just feel really good in the hand. I don't know how to explain it, but when I first opened this deck, I was just taken aback at how beautiful it is. It has this gold foiling. Yeah, and it just took me a while to get it. You know, I was like, oh, it's super popular. Everyone likes that deck. And then when I opened it, I was like, okay, that's why. I feel like this deck embodies Gemini energy, which I'm a Gemini sun, and I don't connect a lot of times with airy decks or like super Gemini things. I feel like I am attracted to more earthy things. Maybe that's because I lack that in my chart, I don't know. But I love using this deck for love readings. I've used this quite a bit for client readings regarding love. I just feel like that's kind of what I use it for. I do have the Oracle deck, the Dreamscape, and I just don't use that as much. But this, I don't know, it's so beautiful with the white. Like, it just gives me butterflies even right now. It's so beautiful. I love this deck. It can get a little bit like washed out when you have a spread of cards out on the table. It seems it can get a little washed out because there's not a lot of color. It's very pastel, right? So it's kind of hard to differentiate. I can't speak. It's hard to kind of pick things out sometimes because everything is so pastel and pretty. And sometimes I want something a little more stark, a little bit more illustrated, you know, but I really, really enjoy this deck. This is the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. Alright, next up, this is a indie deck. This is the Rainbow Heart Tarot. This is a wonderful tarot. This is by Rachel Rosenketter. You can get this off of Etsy. Look how cute that box is. These are beautiful cards. They are bigger, so they're more of like an oracle size. These are the backs. This is something that was a selling point for me, was these beautiful backs. It has rainbow holographic edging. And these are the wonderful cards. I mean, come on. It's so colorful, and I'm not usually like a rainbow person or like a super colorful person. I like kind of richly colored jewel tones and things like that. But this deck just, oh my god, the coloring of the skin tones, and just, this is one of my favorite Ten of Cups. I mean, look at that. I just feel like she, the artist, embodied the meanings of these cards in such a beautiful way. Look at that. And I love how inclusive this is. It's not super modern, like it still feels old school. There are some modern things in it, but it's not, I don't know, it kind of creates its own little world. And this deck is so special. I love that Four of Wands. There's like texture in the paint, the glittery, it's really pretty. And I feel like I don't hear this deck talked about enough. I love I love everything. I love the font, love the size of the cards, the feel. It's like matte. They're a beautiful thickness. This is one of my favorite cards, the moon, with the vulva there. It's so beautiful. I mean, come on. Okay, I talked about this long enough. This is the Rainbow Heart Tarot. And yeah, these are really thick, but they are shuffleable. And there are decks that I love so much that even if the cardstock's harder to shuffle, I'm okay with it because it's worth it. It's worth it. But I mean, just look how beautiful that is. It's gorgeous. Okay. All right, enough. All right, so that is the Rainbow Heart Tarot by Rachel Rosenketter. I have the second edition, and this is something that she makes. I don't think it's going to go out of print anytime soon, so yes. All right, next up I have the beautiful Ancestral Path Tarot. This is another mass market deck. This is by US Game Systems, or published by US Game Systems, and it's by Julie Suchia Watts. Again, I feel like this is a very underrated deck, and I understand why, because there are some setbacks with this. So these are the backs. This is the largest deck I have. I mean, this is huge. Let me see if I can. I mean, this is a normal tuck box, okay, of a deck. So these are humongous. They're bigger than an oracle card. I don't have anything as big as this. These are the backs. They're like a pearl. And I use this deck specifically for ancestor work. It's called the Ancestral Path Tarot. And this deck is gorgeous. The artwork on this is breathtaking. This deck is really cool because each suit kind of has like a different group of people. So for the swords, we have very like Asian influences, right? I love this full card with the tarot reader. How wonderful is that? The wands have kind of like a African or Egyptian kind of feel to them. Look at that emperor. I mean, these are beautiful. They feel like paintings. Like I have 78 individual paintings. I mean, look at this high priestess. The artwork on this is just, I don't even have words. There's a wand card again. And again. And the pentacles are called sacred circles, and it's Native American indigenous people, which is stunning. And then the cups have a very King Arthur kind of a feel to them, like European. I mean, this deck's so pretty. This is one I think I'm going to do something with, try to take photos and shrink down the cards and get them printed a different way, because if this deck was normal sized, it would be in my daily use decks. I mean, this is so powerful and beautiful, and it does bring ancestors through for people. So I do use this deck for a specific reading in my Etsy shop. It's called the Connecting with Your Ancestors reading. I use this alongside my Ancestral Wisdom Oracle, and that is a beautiful pairing, but I just wish it was more usable. This artist also has a Egyptian kind of themed tarot. I'm sorry, this artwork is so beautiful. She has an Egyptian themed tarot, but I can't find the price for that. Can you guys tell me? It's called Journey to Egypt or something. And when you go on her website, it just has an option to buy it, and then it asks for your card number, and I'm like, well, how much is it? I really want that deck, but it doesn't tell you how much it is, and I can't just like buy something without knowing the price. But oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I could gush about this forever. I just wish it was in smaller cardstock, and so I'm gonna have to do something just for me. You know, obviously I don't want to do like copyright infringement, but I want this deck in a smaller size, and so I might have to get it reprinted somehow for just me. But yeah, so that is the Ancestral Path Tarot by US Games, Julie Suchia Watts. Okay. Next up, we have the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. This is published by Clarkson Potter. This deck is gorgeous. It's very popular. It's one of the first tarot decks I actually ever bought. These are the backs. It's a beautiful linen cardstock. It's mass market. You can buy it Amazon. They have it a lot of times at Barnes and Noble. So the cool thing about this deck is that it's based off of folklore. Let me see what this says, because this was kind of a selling point for me. Inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. And I thought that was awesome, right? As I had the deck longer, I was kind of like, well, I want to know what each story is about before I use it. And that just seems a little bit cumbersome. I'm trying to learn tarot and then having to add this on top of it. So it kind of got pushed to the back. As I've become more comfortable with tarot, I realized that this deck can be read without knowing the fairy tales. The guidebook that comes with this doesn't have the full fairy tale in it. It tells you what it's based off of, so you can research further. But there is a deck or a book you can buy separate called Beneath the Moon that goes into each myth and folklore and all that, each story for each card. So I might get that eventually, but this is a beautiful deck. It's not going anywhere. It was on my to be rehomed list, but once I looked at it and realized I could read it without knowing all of the stories, I kept it. And I think it's going to stay around for a while. It does have a weird bow to it. I don't know why. Yeah, this deck's gorgeous. It's not going anywhere, but I really would like to study it one day and get all of these stories. But yeah, really beautiful deck. Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. Okay, next up I have a deck that I don't use. This is the Wizard's Tarot. Again, one of the very first decks I bought. Who's this published by? I think it says. It doesn't have the publisher on here. But the deck is by Dakota Gates. He's also known as Wizard of Barge. There's no guidebook or anything with this. This is mass market. You can buy it off Amazon. I bought mine from a Spencer's store. These are the backs. This artwork is really good. I've never used this, and the cardstock's already frayed. I mean, I just get it out to look at it. I don't shuffle it or anything, and it's already, I don't know. So this deck is really cool. I love the artwork. I love this artist. I have shirts that he's made. I mean, that is so cool looking, right? But I find that the cards really hard to read. To me, I want to know why, okay? Why did he choose this for the Two of Swords? This is one that's easier for me to see. It's easier for me to understand why he picked this image. But some of them are just really hard to read. I mean, that one's alright. The names of the minor cards are different. Beasts are wands, curses are cups, colts are pentacles, and swords are swords. So, yeah, I just wish he would have written a book to kind of say why this card, why he depicted the cards the way he did, because some of them just, they don't make sense. They don't make sense. 3 of Wands, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he genuinely knew the meanings of the cards or if he just kind of was doing his own thing, right? Which is fine. It's fine if he did. But I wish there was a book so I could study it. And I've thought about cutting off the titles and making it into like an oracle deck, a creepy oracle deck, which I still might do. But I love this artwork. It reminds me of the Lich from Adventure Time and like the creepiness of Adventure Time. It really reminds me of that. And so I keep it because I really like the artwork and I want to figure out a use for it. But I don't use it as a tarot deck. So that is the Wizards. Oops. The Wizards Tarot by Wizard of Barge. Alright. Don't get mad at me. I have the Disney Villains Tarot deck. This was a Christmas gift. I did not purchase this for myself. This is published by Insight Editions, which, as you guys know, I have some beef with. I don't like that they come out with like cash grabby type decks. Here's the backs. They're just purple. Yeah, I keep this deck because it was a gift and I think it's really cool. I mean, I like the choices that they made for the cards that have people on them. What I don't like is the pips. I guess I lied. I have more than 2 pip decks, but this one I don't even count because I don't really use it. I think it's cute. I think they picked, again, like really good characters for the ones that have characters on them. But it's just so pippish and weird, and I don't like that. There's Joanna. I love these movies. So it's cute to look at. It's like a kitschy thing, I guess. I mean, to have it around for somebody to like look at it. But and one thing I do like about this deck is the cardstock. It's way better than my other Insight Editions deck. It's way more bendy. So yeah, this isn't my aesthetic in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a big, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Disney movies, okay? I watched Disney a fair share as a kid, but it's just not, Disney stuff's not like my thing. I'm not obsessed with Disney stuff like some people. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not my aesthetic though. So, fun little kitschy thing to have, I guess, but it's not one that I use. Okay. Next up, I guess we'll just talk about my other Insight Editions deck, which I did buy for myself. This is the Nightmare Before Christmas. This is something that is so important to me. My childhood, like it's such a beautiful, it has such a beautiful place in my heart, this movie. These are the backs. And this is one that I was willing to forgive the weird pips. It's like some of them are pips, but not all of them. Yeah, I love using this around the Halloween, Christmas time. Some of these cards are just so well done, and then they just throw in stuff like this, and it's like, it doesn't have feeling. I don't know, I feel like that one, it makes sense for a 10 of Pentacles, right? Queen of Cups. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one was better done than a lot of the ones that are coming out. And I'm happy to have it. I think the artist on this is Abigail Larson. The cardstock on this isn't as nice as the Disney Villains deck. Still shuffleable. But yeah, I'm really happy to have this. It's not an all-time favorite, but it has a very special place in my heart, and I love to use it around Halloween time. So that is the Nightmare Before Christmas deck, again published by Insight Editions. Whew, my throat. I don't normally talk this much. Okay, next up we have the Barbara Walker Tarot. This is published by US Games. Again, it's a mass market deck, and the artist and the authors are Barbara Walker. Barbara Walker Tarot reflects a unique feminist perspective of tarot with religious and pagan symbols from around the world. The court cards depict mythological gods and goddesses, include 78 cards with keywords in English and 48-page guidebook. I mean, this deck is stunning. I'm not a big 10 deck person. I like normal sized tarot decks, and so I think that's one of the things that kind of stops me from using this as much. But I think the keywords on this are really good. I'm not normally somebody who likes keywords on a tarot deck, but this just feels different. I love the artwork, but this one, it feels like something I'm gonna have to deep dive into. She does have a separate book that I'm going to pick up at some point and do a deep dive on this deck, because I feel like it deserves that. It has a very sassy energy. I've done a interview with this deck. Some people say that it can be mean to them, and I didn't experience that. I think this is so cool and like esoteric and creepy. Like, I don't know, it's really cool. The 8 of Wands, the wands look a little weird to me in this deck. Am I the only one? The artwork is so pretty. Is this available in a normal size? I feel like I would really like it if it was. Not that I don't like it, but I feel like I would use it more. I just like, I don't know, I feel like these deserve to be in normal sized cards. So that is the Barbara Walker Tarot. Okay, next up we have the Revival Art Tarot. This is published by Triomphe Studios. This is a independent deck, so you can only get it from their website. This took a long time to get in. This was a Christmas gift from my husband, and it took a long time to get here, but these are the beautiful backs. They're reversible. It's very thick. And this deck is something special. It's so beautiful. It's curated art, so that's a curated art deck. So these are previous paintings that they've curated together to make a tarot deck. So this is the 7 of Pentacles. Sometimes I have a hard time reading this. I kind of put it in timeout for a little bit because it wasn't reading well for clients, in my opinion. I think this is one that I'd have to use with just myself, because I did an interview with it and it was a beautiful reading. But I just feel like that can happen with curated art decks, right? This painting wasn't painted to mean the strength card, but I think they did a really good job of picking cards that go really well. But I feel like sometimes it can just be a stretch, or it's a little bit like, really beautiful. So yeah, I do really enjoy this deck, but we're gonna have to spend some more time together. The cardstock's really beautiful on Triomphe Studio decks. So again, that is the Revival Art Tarot and Indie deck. Okay, we're slowly dwindling the pile down here. I still got a while to go, but we're getting there. Next up, I have the Druid Craft Tarot. I've heavily modified this deck several times because This was my first modification. Right now it is completely trimmed all the way down. There's no borders or titles, and I have rebacked it in this brown, which has made it very thick. So I don't know, I might have to buy another copy of this and do something different because it's a little bit hard to shuffle. But the artwork on this deck is beautiful. It's so pagan and witchy and just the deck of my dreams. So this is by Will Worthington and let me see if I have Philip Cargom. This deck's very readable right outside the box for me. And I want to do a deep dive with the book because while I've used this deck quite a lot, I haven't played around with the book too much, which I've heard really good things. I mean, I have the big book, but I think what's stopping me from really using this deck constantly is the cardstock. I don't know. What happened was I originally trimmed just like the outer borders off because there's 2 borders when you get this deck. And the way that it trimmed on back, I hated the way that the backs looked, so that's why I rebacked it. And when I had edged it, I had gotten marker all over the back. So again, another reason why I rebacked it. But now I just feel like it's way too thick to use or shuffle correctly. I mean, you can break it up into smaller piles, but... And I really did enjoy the titles. Like, I liked the font and everything, so I might just have to redo this with the titles on them. But I like having this trimmed copy, if nothing else, than to study with and look at the artwork. And it has a special place in my heart because of it being my first modification. But this deck is stunning. I so suggest this if you want a beginner-friendly deck, but you're not really into Rider-Waite and you want something more witchy and pagan and beautifully illustrated. This is such a good deck. So again, this is the Druid Craft Tarot, a beautiful deck. Okay. Next up in this beautiful bag, I have the Anna K Tarot. These are the backs. I've edged mine in black. What can I say about this deck? This deck is gorgeous. A lot of people, from what I've heard, don't enjoy the art style on this, but I adore it. It's so good. The people in this deck look like people to me. Some people say they look ugly, but I just think I think they're beautiful because I feel like they're realistic. They look like real people. I mean, I don't know. I love the faces in this deck. The yellows. A lot of people talk about the yellows, and they're gorgeous in this deck. You get a lot of emotion. I feel like it feels so close to real life that you get a lot of emotion out of it. So in this deck, the 10 of Cups, she's by herself, and in the 9 of Cups, she has like her family around her. And I love that because it shows like full fulfillment and contentment can only be within yourself. I love that. My favorite card in here is actually the Empress. Let me see if I can find it. Oh my gosh, look at that 10 of Pentacles. Oh, I love this deck. This is a beautiful depiction of the 8 of Swords with her looking in the mirror. Because that's what the 8 of Swords is. It's in your mind. You're imagining it. It's not actually, you're not actually bound. But when she looks in the mirror, that's what she sees. I love that. Beautiful World card. I love this 3 of Cups. Oh. Finally, there she is. She has her little baby nursing, and she looks so beautiful. I think her face is so pretty. And she's like a bigger woman. I don't know. I adore this deck because of how realistic it is and how the people, they're not like the normal, they look like normal people. They don't look like these, I mean, I still think they're beautiful, but you know what I mean. They're not like these beautifully drawn, idealistic kind of people. They are so, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful to me because of how realistic they look. So that is the Anna K Tarot by Anna K, I think. Let me see if I have, I'm not sure who it's published by. I don't have the box on that one, but it's mass market. You can get it off of Amazon. Okay, next up I have the Gregory Scott Tarot, a tarot of positive clarity. This is published by Low Scarabeo, mass market. You can get it on Amazon. It's by a tarot tuber, I guess. I mean, Gregory Scott, I guess he has a big following on YouTube. But the artwork on this is by David Corsi. These are the backs. I adore these backs with the runes. I talked about this deck in my no tarot disclaimers tag, or no disclaimers tarot. I don't like a lot of the artwork on here. I mean, I do like a lot of the artwork, but there's cards in here that throw me off so bad. I just don't use this. But I keep it because I don't know. I don't know. I can't let it go yet because there are so many cards in here I really enjoy and that are beautiful, and then there's just a few that just throw me off. And they're important cards. I can't just like throw them away, right? With an oracle deck, you can kind of customize it. There's like one or two cards you can't stand, you don't use them. But I mean, look how beautiful this Chariot card is. And then we have the Little Mermaid as the star. Like, there's so much beauty to this deck, but I just don't understand half of it. Like, I don't know why. I don't know, you've heard, I'm sure you guys have heard me complain enough about this if you watched my other video. I mean, look how beautiful that Moon card is. I love this 10 of Pentacles. I love this 8 of Pentacles. Love this 7 of Cups. Love this Devil. But there's some in here that I just can't stand. So we'll see. We'll see. So again, that is the Gregory Scott Tarot, published by Low Scarabeo by Gregory Scott and illustrated by David Corsi. Next up, I have the Runic Tarot. This is by Jack Sephiroth, I believe. And this is published by Low Scarabeo. These are the backs. I edged mine in black. This is a gorgeous deck. It has very dark imagery. It has runes in it. I just love this deck. I love having this kind of energy. It is very like body beautiful kind of a deck. There's a lot of pretty people in it, skinny, you know. But it just feels very fantasy, which I love. And all of these decks have meaning, like they have different gods or goddesses depicted, but it just reads like a normal deck. I love the two cats on the Chariot. I feel like this is underrated. This deck feels fiery to me, even though it's very like cold imagery. There's a fire to it. I love this Wheel of Fortune. Look at that. This feels wintry to me. That's when I used it a little bit more. Yeah, I really love this deck. So this is the Runic Tarot by Jack Sephiroth, published by Low Scarabeo. It is mass market, so you can get it on Amazon. All right, next up, let's talk about my Llewellyn decks because they're some of my favorites. So this first deck we're going to talk about is the Green Witch Tarot. This is in my top 5 favorite tarot decks of all time. These are the backs with the pentacles. Okay, let's talk about Llewellyn cardstock for a minute. I'm somebody who loves Llewellyn cardstock. gorgeous. I mean, I don't know why people don't like it, but it's, Llewellyn cards are slightly smaller than a typical tarot deck. The artwork on this is so beautiful, you guys. I mean, it's called the Green Witch Tarot, but it's so witchy and pagan and beautiful and like earth based. And there's a plant and an animal in each card that they talk about in the guidebook. I don't read this deck in the way that I normally read tarot decks. I read this a little bit differently, a little bit more spirituality based, or like I use this deck in my what kind of witch are you reading, so I read it a little bit differently. This deck has a very nice energy. It's very it's never really mean to me. It has a very soft energy to it. It gets to the truth of the matter, but it doesn't drag you down on the way. But this artwork is so beautiful. So if you like witchy decks, which that's what I enjoy, is witchy decks. That's my favorite thing. Then you have to. You have to give this one a try at least. So Green Witch Tarot, one of my all-time favorites. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. It's mass market. You can get it Amazon very easily. Green Witch Tarot. Next up, I have the Everyday Witch Tarot, also by Llewellyn. This is a different kind of a vibe. It's also very witchy. It's more of like a Halloween-y kind of witch vibe. These are the backs. I really enjoy the artwork on this deck, but it does have some modern things in it, which kind of throws me off because it's not all modern. Like this card, we have like a laptop with some alcohol and cupcakes, and then on the other side we have a book and water and vegetables, you know, balance. And then this one's very modern. But most of the deck is not super modern. But the artwork on this is gorgeous. I love this deck. This deck's mean to me. I use this as a shadow work deck when I want to be called out on my BS. This deck's so mean to me. I do find that it's nicer for clients when I read for clients with it, but it's mean. It always calls me out, which is fine. But I never get to see any of the nice cards, which are so pretty. So yeah, some people think this is like kitschy or like gimmicky, but it's a really beautiful deck. And again, I love witchy things, so this is right up my alley. So this is the Everyday Witch Tarot by Llewellyn. Again, mass market. Really love this. This is one of my favorites. Alright, next up we have the Forest of Enchantment deck, also by Llewellyn. I love the guidebook with this deck, that comes with this deck. Those are the backs, they're reversible. This deck is just straight up like pure magic. I mean, it's so beautiful. All of the cards are pretty much renamed. Spells are wands. Starlight for the star. Boons are pentacles. Challenges are swords. And visions are cups. But it's so beautiful. It feels witchy, but also fantasy and like a storybook without being specific stories. Like Lisa Pepez recently made a video about like world building and decks that kind of create their own world. And she included this deck, which I 100% agree. Like, you get lost in this world. And there's so many little details in each image. This is one of my favorite cards. The 3 of Pentacles or Boons, where we have like this old witch and the crow and or raven, and we have this like little dwarf guy. They're all working together to make a spell. Oh, so wonderful. So this is one of my favorites. It's so magical. So that is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. This is by Lunea Weatherstone and Marilla Allwood, I think. But again, you can get this Amazon, anywhere that sells decks. It's got a little spooky here with some Halloween. I have Jack-O-Lantern Tarot. This is published by Lo Scarabeo. It's by Juliana Costa. Mass Market. These are the backs. I love Lo Scarabeo's cardstock for their tuck box decks. Tuck box decks. Oh my gosh, I'm getting tired. I can't speak anymore. This is a wonderful deck. It's spooky without feeling. I mean, it's called Jack-O-Lantern, so there's a lot of pumpkins in it. There's also a lot of really creepy things like skulls. It reads really well, but it gives an uneasy kind of feeling when you're looking at it. But I love spooky, creepy things. It's one of my passions in life. I love paranormal things. So this is right up my alley. I don't know, I like that it has kind of an old school, like an old painting kind of feel. Like this is an old painting you might find. But it's just extra creepy with like, this boat is made of a skull, or it's like carved into the face. It looks like a skull, right? I can't speak. You know what I mean. So, love this deck. It's Jack-O-Lantern Tarot by Juliana Costa, published by Lo Scarabeo. Okay. The other Halloween tarot I have, it's called the Halloween Tarot. This is one of my favorite decks of all time. It was in my only 10 decks tag. I mean, this deck's just pure magic. Halloween is my ultimate favorite time of year. It's when I feel like I come alive. This is published by US Games, I think. Yeah, US Games, and it's by, who's this by? Kipling West. These are the backs with the black cat. I have trimmed mine. I have white borders, so now it's borderless, and I edged it in black. This deck is a Rider-Waite clone, and it reads like a dream. I was still learning tarot when I got this, and I just could read it, like, right out of the box. So, it's beautiful. It feels like my childhood, like, it reminds me of old, like, Halloween shows or movies that I would watch, like, in the 90s. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I think it was really well done. Again, people say this is kitschy or whatever, but I think that you can get a really wonderful, normal, potent tarot reading from it. So yeah, that is the Halloween Tarot, one of my all-time favorites. And I do have the big book that comes with this. Like, you can get a big book version, which is so well done, and it's very deep. So I suggest, if you don't have the big book to get it because it's worth it. It's a really good book. Alright guys, we're getting down to it. Almost. Next up I have Usi, Pagan Otherworlds Tarot. It's by Usi. That's who's published by, printed by the Expert Playing Card Company. This is a indie deck. You can get it off of Usi's website. This is a beautiful deck. It's very luxury. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't super expensive either for an indie deck. It comes with these really cool moon phase cards. These are the backs. It's a beautiful linen finish. It shuffles beautifully. And this is one of the only pip decks that I really love because it has pips with feelings. The courts and the majors are just illustrated beautifully. And the pips have a very Rider-Waite kind of a feel to them. So here we have the Four of Cups, and you can really get a Four of Cups feeling, right? You have the 3 cups up here, and the fourth one kind of being offered, and it's separate than these other ones, right? 3 of Swords is like a normal 3 of Swords. I love the Strength with the Bear card. I love the Strength card with the Bear. 4 of Pentacles. We have like a little box down here and a key. So it's very readable, and I love to use this when I want like more space. I don't know how to explain it, and I think a lot of people who like to read with pip decks understand what I'm saying. It's like you have more room for interpretation and intuition and things like that to take over, instead of having like a set scene that you have to kind of look at. So yeah, I'm really glad to have this. It's a beautiful deck. So again, that is the Pagan Otherworld Tarot. It's an indie deck, so you have to buy it from their website. And I don't have the big book. You know, that's all right. I might get it one day, but I mean, I don't know. It's pretty readable, just without any book. Okay, Pagan Otherworlds by Usi. Okay. Next up, this is pretty new to me. This is the Lilifer Tarot. This is a indie deck. It's by Marion Constantine. I'm sorry. Her brand is called Little Darkness. There's the website. This is really cool. This is not something I would normally buy, the art style, but I was really drawn to it for some reason, and I haven't found a big connection with it yet, but I haven't played around with it too much. So those are the backs. And this art style is really pretty. Cardstock's nice. I do find it a little hard to figure out what card I'm looking at. But I'll just have to spend some time with it. But it's really pretty. The cup suit kind of throws me off in this. It's not my favorite cup suit ever. I love this Fool. It's very childlike to me. Like, it reminds me of children and my childhood and things like that. Like, this is the King of Wands. Page of Cups. Ace of Swords, I believe. I don't know. It's a little hard for me. I think it's beautiful. I'm glad I have it. I feel like this is one I'll be drawn to at a later time. I mean, there's a reason I got it, right? But I just don't know if that time's right now. So, beautiful deck. Again, this is the Lilifer Tarot by Marion Constantine. And it is an indie deck, so you have to buy it either from her. Look how cute this is. Hold on. Look. It's says hello. That's cute. You can also buy it off of Phoenix and Lotus, which is a beautiful website to buy indie decks from. Or you can buy it directly from her. Okay, next up we have Triomphe della Luna, Illustrated Pips Edition by Patrick Valenza. This is a indie deck. The box is really cool. This is my only Patrick Valenza deck. I don't know why, because I love this deck and I feel really drawn to Deviant Moon, but maybe one day. Those are the backs. Really nice cardstock. I enjoy it. This deck is like perfect to me. I can't get enough of it. It's so beautiful. As I'm looking at the farting fire, the pooping fire card. It's beautiful, okay? I'm so happy to have this. It is gorgeous. This card, this deck like struck me in my soul when I did a reading for myself. I mean, I did several readings for myself. Look at this 4 coins. I love this. Okay, I love creepy decks, right? And a lot of people use the Deviant Moon deck as a shadow work deck because the artwork is confronting, right? To me, I don't think it would work for that. And as well, this one doesn't work for that in the sense of like the artwork doesn't bother me. I love weird stuff like this. And that might be like shadow work in itself, right? But it, I don't know, it works at healing some of my wounds. Stunning, beautiful deck. I want to use this for every client reading, but you know, I know some people don't like artwork like this. But, so good. I can't even. I'm very much somebody who feels connected to my decks on like an energy kind of level, and sometimes I can't even tell you why. I mean, the artwork on this is stunning, but it's a soul connection. The moment I opened it, it was like, I am obsessed with you. Okay, next up we have the beautiful Desert Illuminations Tarot. This is an indie deck by Lindsay D. Williams, and you can get it at lindsaydwilliams.com. An enchanting divination experience. I did a whole unboxing of this deck on my channel. These are the backs. This is very New Mexico themed. It has linen-y cardstock, beautiful. And yeah, it's Southwestern themed. It has so many different cultures depicted, and it has aliens and UFOs, and it's so beautiful. And I love it. And yeah, I live in New Mexico, so this deck, I mean, I had to. This is newer to me. It's one of my newer decks. Yeah, I'm just so happy to have a deck that feels like a piece of home. If you want to hear me go into depth about that, you can watch my unboxing. It's like a few videos down from this one. But yeah, this is an indie deck, so you have to get it from her website. So Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay Williams. Such a enchanting deck. Okay guys, we're getting to the end here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more decks. We're going to try to get through this a little faster. This is the Wildwood Tarot. It's illustrated by the same person that illustrated the Druid craft. I was going to let go of this, but I just couldn't. So I know it's something I want to work with at some point. These are the backs. The meanings on these cards are just a little bit different than what I learned, and so I feel like I'm going to have to, I don't know. I'm not quite ready yet to work with this. It has keywords on the minors. And everything's renamed, so it's kind of, it's not an instant thing for me. I kind of have to think about it for a minute. But the artwork on this is gorgeous. And that's one of the reasons I couldn't let it go, was because of how pretty it was. But it's very pagan and witchy and animal based. Out of the two, I prefer the Druid craft over this one, even though they're by different authors. It's the same artist, but they give similar vibes, you know. And I prefer Druid craft, but I don't know. I was drawn to keep this for a reason, so. Alright guys, we're going to try to get through this because my camera is running out of space. Herb Crafter's Tarot. This is by Joanna Powell Colbert and Letitia Guthrie. This is published by US Games. It's mass market. This is a wonderful deck. It's herb based. These are the backs. And I've been using it in weekly readings to learn about different herbs. And I actually find it quite powerful as a tarot deck. I was using it more of like as a study kind of concept for the herb, and then seeing how it related to the tarot card. But I feel like I could just use this as a regular tarot deck quite well. But the artwork on this is some of the most beautiful tarot art I think ever. Look at that. Oh my gosh. All of the suits are named after the elements. So earth, air, water, fire. Look how beautiful that is. So one of my very favorites right now, because I've been using it quite a bit, this is the Herb Crafter's Tarot deck. Next up, I have Tarot for Kids. I've talked about this quite a bit in the past. This is by, who's this by? Written by Teresa Reed and illustrated by Kaylee Whitman, and it's published by Sounds True. This is quite a large deck. Those are the backs. And obviously it's called Tarot for Kids. I kind of bought it for like my future children because I thought it was a really cool idea. But I think this deck is so beautiful for beginners. It helped me learn tarot. The book is written in a really beautiful way. Very easy to understand. It's so diverse, which I love. Some of the cards are renamed, so instead of the Hierophant, we have the rules, which I feel like is really nice for people to learn with, especially younger people. Instead of the Devil, we have the Bully. So this is a really beautiful deck to use for people that maybe are a little bit wary of tarot because they're scared of it or whatever. This is a really beautiful deck, and it was in my only 10 decks. I really enjoy it. So again, this is the Tarot for Kids, and it's mass market. You can get it anywhere. All right. Let's talk about this baby for a minute. This is my Smith Waite Borderless. This is my tarot deck. Like if we're talking my favorite tarot deck of all time, this is it. I have this special leather case for it, which was chewed up, courtesy of my dog. But I don't know. I think I like the character it adds. But these are the backs. This is my favorite version of the Rider-Waite. It has cardboardy cardstock, but I love it. Everything about this deck I just love. From the moment that I took it out of the package, I took it with me everywhere for like 2 weeks straight. I literally had it in my hand at all times. It was in my purse with me. It went to my bed with me. Like it was everywhere. This is my main deck I use for reading for others. Nothing else reads the way this reads for me. I mean, this is if I could only have one deck, this would be it. I do have the Centennial in a tin, which I keep in my car, and that's the only one I haven't brought out today. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about this in another tag coming up soon, but you guys hear me talk about this all the time. This is the deck to end all decks, in my opinion. So, Smith Waite Borderless Edition, my all-time favorite deck. Sacred. Alright, this is my newest deck. This is the Haunted House Tarot by Sasha Graham and Mirko Perfid. I can't pronounce that. This is published by Lo Scarabeo. It's mass market. You can get it anywhere. I've really been enjoying this deck. This cardstock's different than normal Lo Scarabeo, but it's really, really nice. Piece of the backs. This is my favorite Two of Wands I think I've ever seen. Anything with a Ouija board, sign me up. This deck has just really creepy imagery. I mean, it's a haunted house, right? That's right up my alley. And it follows this woman as she tries to like maneuver through the haunted house. So it kind of has like a storyline, and each suit has like a different monster being portrayed. But I think the artwork on this is quite beautiful. I feel like this is a little underrated, to be honest. It's something that's been on my wish list for quite a long time. I finally bit the bullet, but I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. And I feel like this deck is really, it doesn't feel Halloween-y to me. I mean, it might be something you want to use during that dark half of the year, but it's very versatile. I feel like I can use this at any time. I mean, I would get the freaking Halloween tarot out during the middle of summer, so, but that's just me. But I feel like this is a really, really good deck. So yes, Tarot of the Haunted House, beautiful. I've been loving it so far. Alright guys, 4 decks left and then we're done. Finally. Okay, so next up we have the Morgan Greer Tarot. I love this deck. I love how kind of old it feels. It kind of has like a 70s vibe, which isn't normally my aesthetic, but the artwork on this is stunning. This is published by US Games, and it's mass market. You can get it anywhere. I love this deck. I love the feeling of the cardstock. It's different than any other US Games cardstock I have. But the people in this deck are very close up. I love this double card. I felt like I really wanted kind of like a historical type deck. Like an older kind of classic deck. And I picked this one over like Hanson Roberts or the Aquarian Tarot. But I think I want that one too. This reads really well. I mean, it's a Rider-Waite deck. But if you want something a little bit different and you want something more traditional, this is a beautiful option. I'm really happy to have this. I really enjoy it. So, Morgan Greer Tarot by US Games. Stunning. Next up, we have the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. This is published by Lo Scarabeo, and it's by Julia F. Masaglia. And mass market, can get it anywhere. These are the backs. Some people don't like these backs. I like them. This is one of my all-time favorite decks ever. It has gold foil detailing with this Art Nouveau style. It's Rider-Waite, but so much more beautiful. So much more glam. This deck is the most clear reader I've ever read with. I mean, I feel like it even rivals my Rider-Waite sometimes. Like, it's just so to the point. Like, it doesn't dance around. It just gets to the truth. And I love that. It's just so factual, I guess. It's so accurate. It's kind of scary. This never fails me in readings. Like, it's so good. I kind of put it away for a while because I was using it so often during the beginning of the year. I put it away to kind of play with some other things, but it'll always be a favorite. And this will be in one of my most used decks of the year when I make that video at the end of the year. But yeah, I love this deck. So that is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. Next up, I have the Golden Universal Tarot. This is by Lo Scarabeo again, mass market. It doesn't have another, oh wait, yeah. Roberto D'Angelo. It's kind of hard to read, but again, you can get this anywhere. These are the backs. I've edged mine in black. This is my purse deck. So this is the deck I take with me everywhere. I keep it in my purse. I took it out just to do this video. It has gold accents again. And yeah, it's just another kind of version of the Rider-Waite. And I feel like this is, the reason I take it around with me is just in case somebody wants a reading when I'm out and about, you know. I have a lot of coworkers that will ask for readings, you know. And I feel like this is just a really beautiful deck to bring out to do a reading for somebody. It feels kind of luxurious, you know, but it's easy to read. It's just like a Rider-Waite deck. It's kind of pastel. But I really love it. And I like that it's Lo Scarabeo because it shuffles like a dream. So, yeah. So, Golden Universal Tarot. And last but not least, oh goodness, finally, we have the Slow Tarot. This is by Lacey Bryant. This is an indie deck, so you have to get it from her website. Is it her website? No. It's moderneden.com. Take it slow. This is one of my newer decks in my collection. Really, really beautiful. These are the backs. It's a linen-y cardstock. Ooh, that's a nice card to look at first. Sorry. I think the artwork on this is so stunning. It reminds me of real life again, where we have people depicted, we have more modern situations depicted, which doesn't bother me in this deck. I think it's the art style. To me, this deck feels like the 90s. So it feels like my childhood. It feels like the 90s. It feels like being outside and reading a book and getting lost in that kind of world. That's what it feels like to me. I think these are oil paintings, but they're just gorgeous. All the different suits have different colored borders. So like the majors have black, wands have kind of this like brown, swords have that gray, coins have like a green, and cups have like a blue. So really pretty. I did my birthday reading with this deck. It was a birthday reading to myself. But I think this is so underrated. It's beautiful. I love that. Okay. Oh, another one of my favorite cards. Look at that. Beautiful. So, again, that is the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. Love this deck. And that's my last tarot deck. So, guys, that is my whole tarot collection. I hope I didn't forget anything. I don't think I did. But I have a few decks on the way. I have the Tarot by Caro deck coming, and I have the Tarot of Vampires coming. So those are two decks that aren't in this video that are going to be in my collection shortly. But yeah, I'm really happy with my deck collection. Let me know if there was any decks that you guys have or love that I also love, or any decks you think I should check out. Any decks you saw that you haven't seen before, I would love to know. But I really hope you guys enjoy. Eventually, I want to do an Oracle deck collection. Eventually. But my deck collection, my Oracle deck collection's way bigger than my tarot. So, and you guys saw, I mean, I do have a lot of tarot decks still. but I need to curate it a little bit more. I'm going to be doing a like most used decks so far for the year type video soon, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I won't take up much more of your time. If you want a personal reading from me, all my information's down in the description box. I hope you guys have a magical week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.